This is part 2 of the video I did with Andrew Acevedo. In this episode, we talk about the relief options that are out there for the New York Mets that they could pursue. And we try to get an idea of what it would cost and how it would be a fit for the Mets. And we also go over some bench bats as well. With Dom Smith and JD Davis, they have not had the success you would hope for. So there could be some upgrades on the bench. And as we've seen all season, they definitely could use some more relievers. So this is a really good episode. Thank you all for watching, and everyone who watched the first video and all the videos I've made this week. Greatly appreciate it. If you like this one, make sure to hit that like button out of the ballpark. Slide into the comments section. What are some relievers you would like to see the New York Mets target? And if you're new here, you can subscribe. And if you're subscribed already, tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell a stranger, tell a reliever, whoever it is. Always appreciate the support. Let's get into it.
The point of the most emphasis the New York Mets need, and that is the bullpen. And we're going to talk about endgame guys, middle relief guys, setup guys, lefties, righties, Pat Vendettis, guys who I expect most likely to get moved. The guy that Frank was yelling in the offseason, sign him. And then he got the 2-year deal. And Andrew said, no, you don't give him a 2-year deal because guess what? Look, you can get him at the deadline for a decent price. Which again, I know Frank doesn't love giving up assets for guys you can sign for free, but it's also being the insurance market. It's technically still a 1-year deal. So, I would have given it to him. He's still better than Joely Rodriguez and the guys. They decide to go. So maybe again, Chafe and Deke were 2 guys I liked, but we'll talk about him in a second. The resurgence of David Robertson from the Chicago Cubs that literally no one saw coming, and Ian Kennedy, back to Arizona as Q1 of guys I expect to get moved. There a guy in there that, obviously you've said that the Mets should just add everyone because the bullpen sucks in Frank Sports mind. But of tier 1 guys, is there a guy where you're like, okay, that's the guy they need to get?
I love David Robertson. I've loved David Robertson ever since he was first available. I think it was the end of 2018 or 2019. Might be 2019 he was available because living in New York, watching the Yankees, watching them in the playoffs, there were so many times where they brought David Robertson in these super high leverage spots, bases loaded, and Robertson got the job done. He's not a guy who comes in and he's thrown into the backstop and you worry about a wild pitch or hit batsman. And he's been really good high leverage again with the Cubs this season. He has some closing experience, which we know they need because when Edwin Diaz works 2 days in a row, we can't pitch a third day. I mean, you can't use, and then Drew Smith and Seth Lugo, all their guys have to be multiple innings, so they're not available for 2 days. So it's like, well, what are you left with? So I think that having a guy like David Robertson, who, if the bullpen is fully rested, fully healthy, okay, bring Robinson to the 6th inning. But if you have guys that are a little tired, need a day off, you could bring Robinson later in the game. You could bring him a runners on base. And he's just a guy that he's been doing it for so long. He pitched in New York in big spots in the playoffs, which is all very valuable experience, something that these other relievers do not have. So, I mean, out of those guys, David Robinson, I definitely have him circled. I have him highlighted, and you know that the Cubs are not going to keep him. I mean, he's going to be on the move. So I really would love to get him. I'd be thrilled if they're able to get him. But the other guy that like you said, I do like Andrew Chafin. I would like to add a true left-hand reliever that the Mets trust because Chase and Shreve, what are they doing with him anymore? I mean, that's it's gotten to the point like, what is his role? I think that is the question because the last time we saw this guy against Houston, he's just getting absolutely bombed. I mean, if anything, he turns like a mop-up guy that's a long reliever. And we already have that in Adonis Medina and plenty of other just guys that come in for multiple innings. And it's just like they don't use Shreve. They don't use Joely. Like, they're taking a roster spot, in my opinion. Like, use a guy that you trust in high leverage late in games, and I feel like you have a lot more faith in Andrew Chafin than you do in Chase and Shreve. And it just bothers me because we're going to have to give up maybe not a top 10 prospect, but maybe, I don't know, 12, 11, 13, somewhere in that range to get Andrew Chafin where it's like we could just sign him and not have to give up any prospects at all in a farm system that's pretty weak and doesn't have that many guys. So that's why I always get so frustrated with stuff like that. But those are the 2 guys I like a lot. I do like Chafin, but I really, really like David Robertson.
Yeah, again, I've been on Team Chafin, and he'll be in the next video. And maybe Frank is maybe overrating the value of obviously Andrew Chafin, but obviously, like I said, you don't like giving up assets. When you could have signed a guy for free, we were. Let me rephrase it. I've always said it's not good to give multi-year deal to relievers, but then I'm going to completely make myself like an idiot because there's a guy in tier 3, which I'm going to claw off. I'll explain later. But like you said, tier 1 guys, Andrew Chafin's the guy I want. Again, Joely Rodriguez is decent. I would prefer Joely Rodriguez to be that number 2 lefty, and Jason Shreve sent into the incinerator that, Tomas Nido and Patrick Mazeika need to live in. A lot of guys here, and you'll notice a theme with a couple of them. Detroit Tigers lefty, the other lefty in their bullpen, Gregory Soto, who's again, plenty 27-year-old with plenty of control, so that's why he's in tier 2. Former All-Star, made the All-Star team last year. Pretty good MLB The Show card last year. Former Met farmhand Michael Fulmer. Frank made a great video. If I know how, I will put the card in the top right corner. I will try to learn, so I'll put his video there. Be sure to drop that, subscribe, and tell a Rhino to subscribe. Daniel Bard, Colorado Rockies. Journeyman, great story righty. I talked about him in the last video from Mets Weekly. Diego Castillo, a 29-year-old righty from the Seattle Mariners. 2 years of control. Been a free agent 20. He'll be getting free agent control until next year. Victor Arano, another guy with 27-year-old with plenty of RBers. And Mark Melancon, Arizona Diamondbacks, 1 year, 37-year-old reliever, has some closer experience. So of that group, let's say the Mets don't go out and get the tier 3 guys, which we'll get to in a second. You have to pick 2 guys in tier 2 to fill the Mets bullpen. Who are those 2 guys?
I love Gregory Soto. I think he's going to cost. I don't even know if he's going to be moved, honestly. I don't even know if he's available. So I think Michael Fulmer is more likely. So I'll take Fulmer and I'll take Melancon. And in my video, I talked about Michael Fulmer. He's a guy that he comes in the 8th inning, comes in the 9th inning. He goes multiple innings. And again, just the whole attachment of a homegrown guy. It would just be nice to bring him back, just come full circle. But Mark Melancon, I've always liked him. He was an all-star not too long ago. Was it last year maybe? I think. And Mark Melancon, like, similar to some of these other, like David Robinson, he's been doing it for so long. I mean, like Mark Melancon has just been a solid reliever for so long with closing experience that you can go to him whatever inning you want. Every now and then, maybe he gets a save if Edwin Diaz is unavailable. You just need those kind of guys. Extra innings, okay, we can go to Mark Melancon. Like, you just need to have a lot of arms you could trust. So I would look at Melancon. I would look at Fulmer. Castillo is a really weird one because I'm looking at his numbers and he's got the 45 ERA with the 286 FIP. So maybe you could get like a sneaky deal for him because people may get turned off by the ERA, but you look further into it, he's actually not pitching all that bad. So maybe you could get him like on a cheap deal, like a reasonable price, not give up too much. So I definitely look at that. But the 2 guys I have, and then Victor Arano, I just throw him on there only because he's having a really good year. And you feel like those are the kind of relievers that get moved, just guys out of nowhere, just to have like one great year. And that's how relievers are. Like Victor Arano could very well have a good year this year and then be terrible next year. Like, I mean, that's how bullpen works. You just want to take the guy while they're hot, while they're doing well, but he has years of control, so that would definitely be risky. But I figured why not put him on there. But those 2 guys I have circled, I really like. Fulmer, just because I think he's just pitched well just in general. Like he's had a very solid season, nothing too crazy. So again, he shouldn't cost all that much. But then, like I said, Melancon, he's been doing it for so long. I love to have him. And then Soto, like he's just so appealing to me because this guy is left-handed, throwing a 100-mile-an-hour sinker with a crazy slider, closer experience. So I would much prefer him over Jason Shreve. I prefer him over Joely. But I just don't think the Tigers are ready to move him quite yet. So you'll just have to settle for these other guys.
Yeah, for me, if I have to pick 2, I'm going to pick – again, I'm not copy you with Michael Fulmer. Like you said, he pitched well. Be good to see the Mets completely win the Yoenis Cespedes trade. Only if they would get Luis Cessa, they can completely win that trade. But again, Fulmer's been great, 29 years old, does walk a little bit, walks some guys, 27 innings pitched, already has walked 12 guys, so it's not, crazy ERA at 2, whip under 1. And like I've said, I am a big fan of Daniel Bard, going back to pick on the Rockies, guy who throws a 98 to 100 with the slider, get him out of Colorado, and he's doing that in course, like a 188 ERA in course. Something to talk, it is something to like, oh, this guy did that in course. Like, this isn't like, oh, he's a hitter. Like, he's going where pitchers go to die. Drafted by the Red Sox, developed the yips, went away for 2 years, and then came back with Colorado and has become pretty solid. I know his FIP is a little high. I think his FIP is like 3, I believe I said. I think I saw it in the video, 3.3 FIP. But again, he's one of these guys I would like more to fill in with the Ottavinos and the Lugos, where like you just have quality guys and a good quantity of them, guys you trust, because we've made it a big deal of like Buck's circle of trust in the bullpen. And I would prefer to continue to give him some quality relievers. Let's get into tier 3, and this is the dream scenario, and then I am going to say something that's been living in my head for about a week and a half. Let's start with my boy David Bednar. Obviously, he's got 4 years of team control. He ain't gonna be a free agent until 2027. Here's the deal: the Pirates aren't winning anything in the next 3 years. O'Neal Cruz sucks. I don't care what y'all say. He throws the ball hard. He sucks. They have some good pieces coming down the line, but they're not going to win in the next 2 to 3 years. So why keep a very, very good closer that win many games, so you're not going to use them, and his value is at the highest it's going to be right now. Especially look at this year: 1.78 ERA, 35 and 2/3 innings pitched. Only has 11 saves. Actually, the other guy, we'll get to in a second, but 35 and 2/3 innings.
Pirates never win. You can't save when you don't have the lead.
Yeah, that is true. He has saved 11 of their 13 wins this year. But he has pitched a lot. He's one of these guys. He's always been the guy in MLB The Show. When you look at the collections, he's always been a silver. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And this year, he's so close. This year, he's been a gold, and he's pitched, obviously, it should be a diamond. But he's always been like, who the hell is this silver on the Pirates? Besides Brian, we're like, who is this guy? But obviously, you look at him, and he's one of these guys who plays with energy. Like, again, a guy we're going to talk about in a second. We'll let Frank rebuttal first. But, again, for me, Bednar, and it gives you the extra closer. If you're going to use Edwin Diaz like he did against the Dodgers, let's say you're going up against the Yankees, and Judge is going – it's DJ, Judge, Rizzo in the 7th. And Buck says, you know what, I'm going to use Diaz now. You have a guy who can get the outs in the ninth and not have to put faith in Seth Lugo or Adam Ottavino or Horst Drew Smith, whatever. If it's just David Bednar by himself, are you interested? Yes or no?
It all comes down to price because, like you said, the thing that scares me is the years of control. And I think that reliever who's pitching really well, there's 2 years in a row where Bednar has pitched very good. It's like, okay, you're onto something here. And I just think that, he would be a really good fit for this team. He would help this team. He really would help them get to that next level. But it's just like, do we do it again? Do we give up just so much young prospects for another relief pitcher? And it's just it's scary. But I think one thing to consider, like I talked about with Gallen, we talked about this a lot in Mets Weekly, but Diaz is going to be a free agent. We know Lugo, Ottavino. I mean, pretty much the whole bullpen is going to be free agent at the end of the year. So you would like to at least have some guys that okay, well, we have them. They're going to help us this year. And then the years going forward, they're going to be a mainstay in our bullpen. And it would be a pretty nice transition where you go, if you don't re-sign Edwin Diaz, you say, okay, we just have David Bednar filling his place. And then you have Colin Holderman under him. You have, maybe your Drew Smith and some other guys they'll pick up along the way, or other guys in the farm system and what have you. So I think it all depends on the price. Like you said, if he's the only guy you're getting, it's so tough. I would love to have him. I think he would really help this team out tremendously. But I think it all comes down to what Pittsburgh's going to be asking for him, because I think that bullpen is something that every single contender could use. So I feel like he will have a market. He's in all likelihood going to be one of, if maybe the only representative for the Pirates on the All-Star team this year. So he's going to have that attached to him as well, which I guess will increase his value a little bit, at least to the casual fan, just the fans in general. So, but you know what? They had the same thing with Richard Rodriguez last year. Obviously, that didn't go so well. He was the big talk of the town. Pirates close are doing so well, and we know what happened there. So, yeah, again, we're have to be a little worried, but I feel like he's done it 2 years in a row now, and all the advanced numbers look very encouraging. Sierra is good and stuff like that. So, Bednar would be a great addition, but like I said, the price is just what scares me pretty.
Yeah, and again, like you said, to have some insurance if Edwin Diaz does walk, because, if he's asking for Raisel Iglesias' contract, sorry, Edwin, goodbye. Speaking of a Raisel Iglesias contract for a reliever, I have gone in my head, and this has been living in my head, because the Chicago White Sox have been an utter disappointment. Obviously, some regression from certain players, some injuries for others. And if you're going to continue to suck and not get back in the race, which their team is still good, but they're just injured to hell. So, what do you do if you're the White Sox and you've put a lot of money into this team for their standards? Obviously, they're not the Mets, but you've won the division the last couple of years. What do you do? There is a certain reliever who's a top 5, 10, depending on who you ask, who has a big contract. And I know, here it comes, Andrew, aren't you the mother effort? It's like, nope, don't get multi-year deals to reliever. One guaranteed year. It's an option. 33-year-old, obviously the crazy Aussie himself. He is injured right now, which we just learned. He's pitched the last like 7 years with like bone chips in his elbow, and like, see Steven Matz, that's what a real man can do. He can, and Noah Syndergaard, he can pitch with an elbow being weird. That is Liam Hendriks. 33 years old. He's only guaranteed next year, $14 million, which Mets fan would go nuts. I am the opposite. I like the Kenley Jansen sign because it's a 1-year deal. I don't really care what the AAV is. I am more of the term for relievers than the number attached to AAV years. You can give him $50 million as long as it's a 1-year deal, 1+1, obviously. That's my big deal. I'm not a big, oh, you paid $17 million for a reliever. I'm more of the years term associated. He has the 14 next year, and then he has a club option for 15 in next year. If the Mets are serious and they want to go in deep into October, I know this didn't work for the White Sox because they showed to pick Craig Kimbrell. Liam Hendriks and Edwin Diaz as your 8 and your 9 puts you and makes you a legit contender. Yes, if he became available, the Dodgers just lost Daniel Hudson. So they're going to be hot and heavy for quality 8th inning guy. I don't think they would do what the White Sox did and brought in Craig Kimbrell and Liam Hendriks to their team.
They can't bring in Craig Kimbrell. They already have him.
Exactly. But I mean, bringing them back together in the 8-9. But I'm thinking one, and Steve has said he would take on bad contracts. So there's also another contract that makes some big money for a position that maybe you need, but we won't go into that. But just singly, the Aussie himself. Any interest, or am I just being a dumbass, Ryan?
I'll take him. I will. Like you said, it is risky. I mean, I would hate to see the whole. I feel like when Kimbrell got there, Hendriks started to struggle too. I mean, and then like Kimbrell was having such a crazy year. There was this debate, like who gets the 9th? Is it Kimbrell? Is it Hendriks? And Tony La Russa, and he's really. I tell you what, he's done a phenomenal job out there in Chicago. I mean, I think the fans are absolutely thrilled with what he's done. So, no idea why they're struggling. I mean, that's a complete surprise under his helm. But Liam Hendriks, it was kind of we were saying with David Bednar, where he could take you to that next level. I mean, I think when it comes down to the playoffs, you have Jacob deGrom, he gives you 7 innings. Max Scherzer gives you 7 innings. 8th inning, you go Liam Hendriks. 9th inning, you go Edwin Diaz. Tough to beat. I mean, I just think it is such a recipe for success. And I got to bring back flashbacks. But 2015, what else did the Royals have? That 7, 8, 9 combination. You had Herrera come in there. You had Wade Davis. They just had like that 7, 8, 9 where if they had the lead late in the game, it was pretty much game over. And I feel like if you had Hendriks and Diaz, I mean, that would just be such a tough combination. And because he has, like you said, the contract attached to him, if the biggest part of the deal is just taking on that contract, not giving up anything crazy farm system-wise, why not? I mean, if it's just one more year next year, so what? I mean, listen, we're going to need a closer next year anyway. We're going to need some relief pitchers next year anyway. So why not? Like, the guy, he's crazy. He's got adrenaline. He's got energy. Like, I mean, and you know what? Like, even though he's injured or whatever, Sierra 233, like, he's still pretty freaking good, even despite that. And like we said, it's tough to find a reliever who year in, year out is this good. And Liam Hendriks is one of those very rare few guys that is that good. So, you know what? I'll take him. I definitely would, because, like I said, I hope that would not cost as many prospects as Bednar.
Like I said, older, less control. Obviously, I think he's better. I mean, obviously, you can make the argument Bednar could be maybe better this year. So you have your argument, one, and he's healthy. So you can make the argument. Again, just seeing the White Sox just completely fold on itself, it's just something to think about. Last thing, we're just going to talk about a couple of bench guys, and then we'll get out of here. If you've watched all the way through this video, thank you for dropping a like. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to Frank. Subscribe to Mets Weekly, ESM. Always all linked down below. So let's talk about the bench. The position of the Mets don't really have much flexibility. I mean, you obviously have Tomas swings the bat blindfolded, and you still have guys like J.D. Davis and Dom Smith is back. The duo is back on the bench. And then you have Plum Dog, Orderly, depending on what day of the week it is, it seems like, and Jankowski coming back. But the Mets use some flexibility. I just have a couple names here. I don't have a tier for these guys. There's just a couple guys to keep in mind. Maybe a reuniting with Brandon Drury. He's had a great year at Cincinnati, but Frank's going to say he's just a merchant of great American football, which he is. A guy that Mets fan, which he's not here, but keep giving him a couple shots because he does live on this channel at points. Guy he's loving, that's Jose Iglesias. Like we've said, the Mets don't have a backup shortstop. If they lose Lindor, making Guillorme the everyday shortstop, the Mets could use some flexibility at the backup shortstop. Can play second, can play third. Kind of a weird bat, but he still plays pretty solid defense. And if you know me, I've had a crush on this guy, MLB The Show legend Brad Miller. Kills right-handed pitching, can play everywhere. Maybe he's not as athletic as he used to be, so maybe he's probably only playing the outfield and first base, maybe some third. If you need him to play second, you think he can still do it. But again, provide you a power bat off the bench. Is there any of those guys, or maybe do you have a guy you have in mind extra that you potentially would love to see the Mets try to add?
I mean, out of all, listen. First of all, I'm not gonna do Jose Iglesias. This man plays in Coors Field. And you know how many home runs this guy has hit, even while he's playing Coors Field? As many home runs as I've hit this season. That's all.
He was good. He was good in Baltimore too. He had that great year in Baltimore too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, no, listen, he can get you he's Luis Guillorme. I mean, we already got Jose Iglesias, Luis Guillorme. You want a good batting average, good glove? We got Luis Guillorme. I mean, like we said, we want some power on this team. Jose Iglesias is not going to provide it. Playing in Coors Field, this guy still has 0 home runs on the season. Now, Brandon Drury, he's such a weird one. I mean, this is a guy that I don't know how I feel about him because power-wise, he's played 31 games home, 31 games away, 8 home runs at home, 7 home runs away. So power-wise, everything checks out there. But 315 average at home, 222 on the road, 940 OPS at home, 764 OPS on the road. Now, one thing I didn't even realize until he was gone, Brandon Drury was the best pinch hitter in all of baseball last year while he was with the New York Mets. And he did get some pretty big hits. And he had that one like really hot stretch. It was like, I think it was in like September or whatever, where he played like right field every day because for some reason the Mets starting right fielder was struggling pretty badly. So they had to try somebody else.
That guy doesn't exist.
I mean, that's the forbidden door of names you can't speak. So, Brandon Drury, my thing is like, he was a Met, right? Then he leaves the Mets and he plays well. So you don't bring those guys back. Like, you've seen it. It's clear. The problem was the uniform, guys. I mean, how many times do we have to go over this? Just because somebody was a Met and then they go somewhere else and have success does not mean you bring them back, a.k.a. Steven Matz. What were the Mets thinking that they want to give this guy a 4-year deal? Steve Cohen was Met. I mean, like, of all the guys the Mets have missed out on that looked like they were going to get, Steven Matz was the one that put Steve Cohen over the edge and said, let me sign everybody. I mean, I don't know. So we've been there, done that. I think that we don't want just like a bench bat. I think we want those guys we talked about earlier, the Ian Happs of the world, some of those other guys where it's like these are starting caliber players, and then your starters, they become bench bats. You know what I mean? Because the DH has become so like unstable with this team where it's somebody else every single day. One day it's Plummer, Davis, Dom. It's probably going to be Escobar once McNeil comes back. Like, they've just had such an instability there that you feel like just fixing that alone would be good. Because if you do go the Ian Happ route or some of these other guys, like they could also play. It's like guys we talked about. They can play the outfield a little bit. They can play first base a little bit. So you're going to be able to kind of fix both things at once, where you fix the bench and you fix the H just by, like you said earlier with the relievers, just get quality players. Just get the best 26 guys on the team that could just kind of fill in and could cover your weaknesses that you have. Because while the Mets, like we said in the beginning, have been good this year, they haven't been perfect. They still have their weaknesses here or there. Not enough home runs, not enough players that are good with a run scoring position, not good enough against left-handed pitching, not enough positional versatility off the bench, guys that could play the outfield and play it well. Dom Smith and J.D. Davis have played the outfield in their career, haven't played it well. So I think that's something to consider. Cincinnati, they've moved Brandon Drury around a lot this year. The Mets did too, but he wasn't particularly great out there in the outfield when the Mets had him there too. So I think that we look at some of those other guys we touched on earlier, the Trey Mancinis of the world. I think I'd rather look in that direction but compared to these other guys.
Yeah, again, these are just some options. Maybe if the Mets want to go all in on pitching and just want to move on the margins with bats, these could be some guys.
They have some guys internal that might be able to help with the offense, but I mean that's a topic for. I mean, you guys already touched on before, but I feel like it's much easier for the Mets to fix the DH thing internal compared to it is the starting pitching and the bullpen. I think that that's somewhere there they really could use. Like in my ideal like trade deadline scenario, I like to see the Mets get like instead of just getting like one big pitcher, like 4 pitchers, 5 pitchers. I want to be prepared for guys having slumps or not being available. Like I just want to see the Mets have so many quality arms. I don't want Yohan Lopez pitching anymore. I mean, I just really want to see a whole group of guys come into this team and really just strengthen it and fortify and make it even stronger.
I think there needs to be a mix. Everyone's like, oh, they need to be the Braves. I think they need to be the Braves plus the Mets, plus what the Mets did. I think they should go out and get one big splash, but also add the depth around the margin. So any other final awards of the big board? I guess give me like your top 3 you would want off this big board.
I would love to probably get either Malley or Kelly. I would love to get probably Happ or Reynolds, and then either Fulmer or Melanson. So I'd probably take maybe like Fulmer, Malley, and I don't know, maybe like let me say Mitch as well. So maybe like Mitch, Malley, and Fulmer. That'd be like my 3.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna double up as well. If I have my way, it would be Haniger, Gallen, and then probably either Daniel Bard or Andrew Chafin in the bullpen. So again, you'll see what I think. That'll come out in a couple days, and we'll work on that after this video gets up. Sometime after this video is uploaded, I will put out the way too early trade down on position. So
Andrew has a bunch of videos coming out all week long talking about a bunch of different report cards and targets that have been on the Mets Weekly channel. So make sure you guys are watching that for your daily content. Because, from us, you get it every now and then. But at least on Mets Weekly, you're getting stuff every day. And I'm doing the recaps on Sunday, talking about the games. So we got a lot of good stuff coming from all of us.
Yeah, again, check out ESM for all your New York sports needs. Knicks, Giants, Mets, Jets. I don't know if they do hockey. Maybe I need to tip my – maybe I got to call out.
Who cares about hockey?
Maybe I got to dip my toe into that. So thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to Mets Weekly. Subscribe to Frank. You can subscribe to the Rhino, too. Follow me on Twitter. Follow Frank at Frankagio. Follow me on Andrew Acevedo 34.
So again, let me know relievers you think the Mets should target. And until next one, be safe, be smart, be healthy. Let's go Mets. Go get some more relievers.